Let's talk about safety belts and child restraints.
Amendment to CVC 27315D, Seatbelts, allows penalty assessments and court costs to be added to maximum $20 or $50 fine imposed on first and subsequent seatbelt violations, thus raising the maximum amount of the fine that may be imposed. The use of your safety belt is required by law if your vehicle is a 1968 or later model car, house car, enclosed three-wheel vehicle, not less than 7 by 4 feet, with an unladen weight of 900 pounds or more. Truck tractor excludes passenger and sleeper berth. The safety belt must be in good working order. If it is damaged or not working properly, it needs to be replaced. You and your passengers must wear a safety belt while on a highway. If not, you or your passenger, age 16 or older, may be given a traffic ticket for not wearing a safety belt.
In fact, a seatbelt is required for each person in the vehicle. A child who is under the age of 8 years must be put in a child safety seat in the rear seat of the vehicle. If a child is 8 years of age or younger, the driver, parents, or legal guardian, if present, must put the child in the rear seat in an approved child safety seat.
A change to California's child passenger safety seat law now requires children to ride in a car seat until the age of 8, or until they reach a height of 4 feet 9 inches.
This law also requires children who do not meet the age or height requirement to ride in the rear seat of a vehicle unless the vehicle has no back seats. The restraint system cannot be properly installed in the back seat. The back seats are side-facing or rear-facing jump seats. The rear seats are already occupied by children under age 8. For medical reasons that would necessitate the child riding in the back seat, the court may require proof of the child's medical condition. If the child is physically unfit, has a medical condition, or their size prevents them from being able to use a child restraint seat, the court may require proof of the aforementioned and that a special needs child passenger restraint system isn't available. During a case of a life-threatening emergency, or when transported in an unauthorized emergency vehicle and a child passenger restraint system isn't available, the child should be secured by a seatbelt, and if the child weighs more than 40 pounds, they may ride in the back seat wearing only a lap belt only if the vehicle is not equipped with a combination lap and shoulder safety belt. For safety reasons, no child, regardless of age, can be in a rear-facing car seat in the front seat with an active airbag.
Here are some additional tips for using a child safety seat. The back seat is generally the safest place in the car for all children 12 years of age or younger.
Babies under 2 years of age shall only ride in a safety seat secured to the back seat facing the rear of the car, unless they weigh 40 pounds or more, or are 40 or more inches tall. Children under the age of 8 who is 4 feet 9 inches in height or taller shall ride buckled up in the back seat. Make sure the vehicle's seatbelt is put through the correct slot in the safety seat. Incorrectly fastened safety seats defeat their purpose and can result in injury. Safety belts can reduce injuries and deaths. Many studies and actual crash tests have proven this. Crash tests have also reinforced the proper way for pregnant women to wear lap and shoulder belts. Wear the lap belt as low as possible under the abdomen and the shoulder strap between the breasts and to the side of the abdomen's bulge. If you wear only a lap belt when driving, your chances of living through a collision are twice as good as those of someone who isn't. If you wear a lap and shoulder belt, your chances are 3 to 4 times better. You must wear both your lap and shoulder belt if the vehicle is equipped with both, and if the vehicle is equipped with airbags. Warning: the use of seat belts reduces the chance of being thrown from your vehicle in case of a collision. If you don't install and use a shoulder harness with a lap belt, serious or fatal injuries may happen in some crashes. Lap-only belts increase the chance of spinal column and abdominal injuries, especially in children. Shoulder harnesses may be available for your vehicle if it is not already equipped with them.
Myths about seat belts. A lot of scary stories are still told about safety belts. Many of the stories are not true. Have you heard some of these before? Safety belts can trap you inside the car. It actually takes less than a second to take off a safety belt. This type of scare tactic often describes a car that caught fire or sank in deep water. Accidents like these seldom happen. Even if they do, a safety belt may keep you from being knocked out. Another myth is, safety belts are good on long trips, but I don't need them if I'm driving around town. Deaths can occur when drivers are going 40 miles per hour or less. Don't take chances. Buckle up every time you drive. Another myth. Some people are thrown clear in a crash and walk away with hardly a scratch. Your chances of surviving an accident are 5 times as good if you stay inside the car. Even if your car is hit from the side, a safety belt can keep you from being thrown out into the path of another car. One more myth. I'm only going to the store. My little brother or sister doesn't need a child car seat anyway. It's too much hassle. Car accidents are the #1 preventable cause of death for children. More deadly than leukemia or muscular dystrophy, accidents also cripple or disfigure thousands of youngsters for life. Crash-tested child car seats reduce injuries and save lives. An older child can be placed on a crash-tested safety booster seat to properly fit a standard shoulder lap belt. In an accident, a child can fly back and forth within the car, even at low speeds. Protect any small children in your car. Take time to buckle them up in safety belts or car seats. It's worth it, and the law requires that you do. Most drivers, no matter how carefully they drive, will be involved in at least one traffic accident during their lifetime. The chances of being injured or killed are greater than you might think. About 1 person in 3 will be injured or killed in a traffic accident. Since there's no way a driver or passenger can completely eliminate the possibility of being involved in an accident, the best thing is to increase your chances of surviving by always using seat belts. There are 2 types of penalties. On your first citation, it's $20. In your second citation, it's $50, and it goes on record.
Child safety booster seats. A child safety seat is required for children who are under 8 years old or under 4 foot 9 inches in height. The driver, parent, or legal guardian, if present, must put the child in an approved safety seat in the rear seat of the vehicle. If the child is under 8 years of age or under 4 foot 9 tall, don't put a rear-facing restraint in the front seat. Starting with the first trip home from the hospital, put an infant in the center back seat. Make sure the rear-facing restraint is tightly secured to the vehicle with an adult safety belt, and the baby is buckled snugly in. If there's no choice but to put a baby in the front seat, then an on and off switch for the passenger airbag is essential. But before you do this, remember, the back seat is safer.
Even without airbags, kids riding in back are much less likely to be killed. When babies outgrow their rear-facing restraints, they should graduate to forward-facing ones or booster seats attached to a vehicle's back seat with an adult safety belt. As kids later graduate to adult belts, proper restraint use is still essential. Don't put the shoulder portion of a belt behind a child or under the arm. And don't let a youngster do this either, because it compromises protection. A lap belt should be positioned so it's low and snug across a child's hips, not up over the abdomen. Older kids should continue riding in a back seat. Only if there are too many children to put them all in the back should a child be allowed to ride up front. Then make sure the seat is all the way back. Leaning forward, for example, to fiddle with radio dials can put a child at risk. If you worry about keeping a child sitting back, you may wish to consider getting an on-off switch for the passenger airbag. Not all child seats can be installed in all vehicles in all seating positions. With numerous models of child seats, almost 300 models of passenger vehicles, and the wide range of belt systems available today, correctly installing a child seat can be challenging. The best way to be sure your child seat is compatible with the vehicle you're considering is to test it before you purchase or lease the vehicle. Be sure to read the child seat's instruction manual and review all information in the vehicle owner's manual concerning correct installation. Once the seat is installed, check it by firmly pulling the base of the child seat from side to side and forward. The child seat should not move more than 1 inch in any direction.
Proper child passenger restraint system installation can be checked by contacting local law enforcement agencies or fire departments that may provide this service or refer you to a child passenger safety (CPS) technician in your area. As your child grows, check with these agencies to confirm that the car seat is the correct size for your child. Caitlin's Law. The purpose of this law is to help prevent injuries to and the death of young children from the effects of being left alone in a motor vehicle. This law states that a parent or legal guardian cannot leave a child under the age of 6 years old or younger inside a motor vehicle without supervision of a person who is 12 years of age or older under certain conditions. These conditions are if there is a significant risk to the child's safety and health, or when the vehicle's engine is running or the keys are in the ignition. This is punishable by a fine of $100. Amendment to California Vehicle Code, Section 21-212. As of January 2003, California law requires all persons under 18 years of age to wear a properly fitted and fastened bicycle helmet while operating a bicycle or riding upon a bicycle as a passenger. Operating a non-motorized scooter or skateboard, wearing inline or roller skates, or while riding upon a non-motorized scooter or skateboard as a passenger. Child Safety Restraints, Amendment to CVC 27360. Requires that a child who is required to be secured in a child safety seat, under 8 years of age, be secured in the rear seat of the vehicle. A child is allowed to be properly secured in child safety seat in the front seat of the vehicle if there is no rear seat, the rear seats are side-facing jump seats, the rear seats are rear-facing seats, the restraint system cannot be installed properly in the rear seat, all rear seats are occupied by children under the age of 7 years, medical reasons necessitate that the child not ride in the rear.
A child may not ride in the front seat of a motor vehicle with an active passenger airbag when riding in a rear-facing child passenger restraint system. Tips for using a child safety seat. The back seat is generally the safest place in the car for all children 12 years of age or younger. Children under the age of 8 who are 4 feet 9 inches in height or taller shall ride buckled up in the back seat. Babies under 2 years of age shall only ride in a safety seat secured to the back seat facing the rear of the car, unless they weigh 40 pounds or more, or are 40 or more inches tall. Make sure the vehicle seatbelt is put through the correct slot in the safety seat. Incorrectly fastened safety seats defeat their purpose and can result in injury. Child safety seats. These permanent seats are designed to restrain children. When a child has outgrown these seats, the child should be placed in a rear-facing car seat until the age of 2, 40 or more inches in height, or 40 or more pounds. Because they are built into the vehicle, these seats are an effective restraint system for children. Built-in child seats have an advantage over add-on child seats because they do not have compatibility problems with the vehicle seat design or seatbelt systems.
Vehicle Code Section 12814.6 and Health and Safety Code 118947. This bill makes it an infraction for a person to smoke a cigarette, pipe, or cigar in a motor vehicle when a minor is present in the vehicle. The law applies whether the vehicle is at rest or in motion, is secondary enforcement, and punishable by a fine not exceeding $100. Health and Safety Code 118947. This act shall be known and may be cited as the Marco Firebaugh Memorial Children's Health and Safety Act of 2007, Section 118948 of the Health and Safety Code. It is unlawful for a person to smoke a pipe, cigar, or cigarette in a motor vehicle, whether in motion or at rest, in which there is a minor. For the purposes of this section, to smoke means to have in one's immediate possession a lighted pipe, cigar, or cigarette containing tobacco or any other plant. A violation of this section is an infraction punishable by a fine not exceeding $100 for each violation.
Built-in child safety seats. These permanent seats are designed to restrain children at least 1 year old and at least 20 pounds in a forward-facing position. Because they're built into the vehicle, these seats are an effective restraint system for children. Built-in child seats have an advantage over add-on child seats because they do not have compatibility problems with the vehicle's seat design or seatbelt systems. New in 2000. Some manufacturers offer vehicles with a top tether anchorage system. This is a metal plate or ring-like object bolted into the vehicle. Depending on the vehicle, the anchorage may be located on the shelf or back of the seat, on the floor, or on the ceiling. This anchorage will attach to a top tether strap that comes with some child safety seats and may improve protection by attaching the top of the child seat more securely to the vehicle.
Child safety locks. Child safety locks are built into the rear doors of most cars to prevent rear seat passengers from opening the doors both during transit and while the vehicle is stationary. Although called a child lock, it is equally effective for adult passengers. The lock is typically engaged via a small switch on the edge of the rear doors that is only accessible when the door is open. Some cars implement the locking mechanism as a rotary device which must be turned with the vehicle key. This design prevents sticky-fingered passengers from disabling the lock as they enter the vehicle. In both designs, the lock is completely inaccessible, especially to the passenger.
When the child lock is engaged, the interior handle is rendered useless. usually by disconnecting the handle from the latch mechanism or by locking the handle in place. In this state, the passenger cannot open the door from the inside and is effectively locked in. The passenger can only be released by someone lifting the outside handle. Some vehicles implement window locking mechanisms as well. As well as the above-mentioned mechanism, on many cars there are also window locks. These window locks prevent the windows in the back two doors of the car from opening all of the way.
The windows only open to about 3/4. These were put into place from fear of a child falling out of the window.
Properly securing heavy items. It is illegal to drive any vehicle with an unsafe, unsecured load that is a safety hazard. If you load or secure heavy items incorrectly, it can be a danger to others and yourself. Loose heavy items that fall off of a vehicle can cause traffic problems, and others could be hurt or killed. Loose heavy items can hurt or kill you during a quick stop or collision. Your vehicle can be damaged by an overload. Steering can be affected by an improperly loaded vehicle, making it more difficult to control. Some questions to ask when securing your load. 1. Is there any chance of debris falling or blowing out of my vehicle? 2. Would I feel safe if I were driving behind my vehicle? 3. Would I want my loaded vehicle driving through my neighborhood? 4. What would happen to my load if I had to brake suddenly or if I hit a bump? 5. Do I need to drive slower than I normally do? 6. Is my load secured on top, on the sides, and in back? 7. Am I regularly checking my load in the mirror while driving? Child endangerment. It is illegal to leave a child 6 years of age or younger unattended in a motor vehicle. Be aware if weather conditions or other conditions present a significant risk to the child's health or safety. Example, leaving a child in a closed vehicle on a very hot day. It is against the law to leave unattended minor children in a vehicle. Additionally, and equally important, it is dangerous and deadly to leave children and/or animals in a hot vehicle. After sitting in the sun with even a slightly opened window, the temperature can rise rapidly inside a parked vehicle. The temperature inside a vehicle can rise approximately 40 to 50 degrees higher than the outside temperature. Dehydration, heat stroke, and death can result from overexposure to the heat. Remember, if it's too hot for you, it's too hot for children and pets. The vehicle's engine is running, keys are in the ignition, or both. Children may start or move the vehicle, causing injuries and/or deaths to themselves or others. With the key in the ignition, automatic transmissions may be shifted out of park, even if the vehicle's engine is off and the driver's foot is not on the brake. If you leave the key in the ignition and turn to the accessory mode to listen to the radio, open-close the windows, etc., your vehicle's automatic transmission may be shifted out of park if you or a child moves the gear selector. Prevention tips. Teach children not to play in or around cars. Supervise children carefully when in and around vehicles. Check around your vehicle prior to entering and leaving to make sure no objects and especially children are around where you would be driving out and running over them. Keep vehicle locked when unattended. Never leave keys in the car. Engage your emergency brake every time you park. Verify whether or not your vehicle has a brake transmission safety interlock, BTSI. Read the owner's manual. What you need to know now. When the vehicle is set in motion, children may become scared and jump out of the vehicle only to be injured or run over. They can also be hurt inside the vehicle, especially if they are unbelted and the vehicle is in motion. Sometimes, the vehicle may end up running over someone else. Many vehicles today have a BTSI, which is a safety technology intended to prevent children from accidentally putting a vehicle into gear. All vehicles with automatic transmission with a park position, manufactured for sale after September 1, 2010, must have BTSI. Exception. The child may be left under the supervision of a person 12 years of age or older. The court may fine a violator and require him or her to attend a community education program. Also, DMV and court penalties for leaving an unattended child in a vehicle are more severe if the child is injured, requires emergency medical services, or dies.
Let's talk about airbags. Virtually all new cars have airbags, and they're saving lives. They're reducing driver deaths by about 14%, and passenger airbags reduce deaths by about 11%. People who use safety belts may think they don't need airbags, but they do. Airbags and lap and shoulder belts work together as a system, and one without the other isn't as effective. Deaths are 12% lower among drivers with belts and 9% lower among belted passengers. But there also are problems with airbags. Inflating bags have caused some serious injuries and deaths. Position is what counts. Serious inflation injuries occur primarily because of the people's positions when airbags first begin inflating. Anyone, regardless of size or age, who's on top of or very close to an airbag is at risk. Most airbag deaths have involved people who weren't using belts, were using them incorrectly, or were positioned improperly. People without belts are using them incorrectly, especially passengers, are at risk because they're likely to move forward during hard braking or other violent maneuvers before crashes. Then they're likely to be very close to or on top of airbags before inflation begins. Improperly positioned people at risk include drivers who sit very close to the steering wheel, 10 inches or closer, and infants in rear-facing restraints in front seats. The manual airbag on-off switch. Vehicles with no back seat or a back seat that's too small to hold a child's seat may be equipped with a special switch that lets the driver control the passenger airbag. The switch has a warning light that must be clearly visible to all front seat passengers that will tell them when the airbag has been turned off. A rear-facing infant seat should never be placed in the front seat of a vehicle equipped with an active passenger airbag. Infants and children can be injured or even killed if the airbag deploys. Please note, children are safest when properly restrained in the back seat, whether the vehicle has an airbag or not. In addition, drivers and passengers fitting certain risk profiles can get authorization from National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to have an on-off switch installed by a dealer or repair facility if a switch is available for the vehicle they own. The 4 risk profiles are: 1. Cannot avoid placing rear-facing infant seats in the front passenger seat. 2. Have been advised by a physician that you have a medical condition that places you at specific risk. 3. Cannot adjust the driver's position to keep your breastbone back approximately 10 inches from the steering wheel. And 4. Cannot avoid situations, such as a carpool, that require a child 12 or under to ride in the front seat. Now, some manufacturers offer vehicles with a system that deactivates the passenger airbag when a special child restraint, sold by these manufacturers, is properly installed. At the time of publication, 2 vehicle manufacturers offer these systems: Mercedes-Benz and Porsche. You can get a brochure about on-off switches and an installation request form from local vehicle dealerships, AAA offices, state motor vehicle offices, and NHTSA. Since on-off switches are not available for all vehicles, verify availability of a switch for your vehicle before you request authorization for its installation.
Use your horn. Sound your horn when necessary to avoid collisions. Don't honk at other times. Try to get eye contact with other drivers. Sometimes it may be necessary to tap your horn to alert another driver who may want to turn in front of you. If a driver is going slowly, don't honk just to make a slow driver hurry. The driver may be ill, lost, or may be having problems with the car. Never honk if slowing or stopping your car will prevent a collision. It's safer to use the brakes than push the horn. Don't honk simply to show other cars that they have made a mistake. Your honking may upset them so much that they may make more mistakes. Never honk because you are angry or upset.
Here's a list of when to use your headlights. When it's cloudy, raining, snowing, or foggy. On frosty mornings when other drivers' windows may be icy or foggy. Anytime you have trouble seeing other cars. Other drivers will be having trouble seeing you too. On small country or mountain roads. It's a good idea to drive with your headlights on, even on sunny days. This will help other drivers see you. Your headlights may help you avoid a head-on crash. Don't forget to turn them off when you park. Seeing clearly. As a driver, it's important to adjust to the driving environment, taking into account the following. Is it day or night? What are the road conditions? Are there any other types of driving distractions? And what are the weather conditions? If you can't see 400 feet ahead, it means you can't drive safely at 55 miles an hour. If you can't see 210 feet ahead, you can't drive safely at 35 miles per hour. By the time you saw an object in your path, it would be too late to stop without hitting it. Adjust your driving to the weather. You should slow down in rain or fog. Turn on your lights during the day if it's hard to see. It's always illegal to drive with only your parking light on. Fog. The best advice for driving in the fog is don't. You should consider postponing your trip until the fog clears, or at least carefully planning your route before you drive. If you must drive, then slow down and turn on your low beam headlights, because a light from a high beam will reflect back and cause glare. Never drive with just your parking or fog lights. Increase your following distance and be prepared to stop within the space you can see in front of your vehicle. Avoid crossing or passing lanes of traffic unless absolutely necessary. Listen for traffic you can't see. Use your wipers and defroster as necessary for best vision. If the fog becomes so thick that you can barely see, pull completely off the road. Look in the rearview mirror for vehicles approaching. Do not continue driving until you can see better. Turn off your lights or someone may see your taillights and drive into you. Darkness. Be very careful when you drive at night. Go slower because you cannot see as far. Motorcycles are harder to see at night because most have only one taillight. You'll have less time to stop if a hazard lies ahead. Make sure you can stop within the distance lighted by your headlights. The law says you must turn your headlights on 30 minutes after sunset and leave them on until 30 minutes before sunrise. You must turn your lights on anytime you can't see at least 1,000 feet ahead. Use your low beam headlights whenever it's raining. Remember, it's always illegal to drive with only your parking lights on. Use low beams in fog, snow, or heavy rain. Light from high beams will reflect back and cause glare. Remember, it's just as important to be seen by other drivers as it is for you to see them. Don't blind other drivers with your high beam headlights. Dim your lights by switching to low beams before you're 500 feet from a vehicle coming towards you. If you're following another vehicle, change to low beams when you get closer than 300 feet. Use your high beams whenever possible, as long as it's not illegal. For example, in open country when other cars are not near, or on dark city streets when no other traffic would be affected by your high beams. Let's talk about braking distances. By the time your foot hits the brake, your vehicle has traveled about as many feet forward as the number of miles per hour you're traveling. Reaction time. If you're traveling at 50 miles per hour, it will take you 50 feet just for you to react and put your foot on the brake. Of course, the stopping distance varies depending on the surface of the road, the condition of the brakes, and the skill of the driver in recognizing and reacting to hazards. Below are average braking distances in different conditions. Please review them.